Good morning, boys. We're back out here. We're on a house call today. As you can tell, same attire as what we were just in when we went and looked at the shop today, which you guys saw yesterday. And I'm trying to find my handy dandy tools for good old Remy, since he talked me into doing a freaking house call because he's like, I can do this myself. No problems. I'm pro mechanic. Found out he's Princess Tech, not pro mechanic. So we grabbed some lunch because it is lunchtime, and we are over here mainly just to look at our beautiful dyno. Cannot wait to get this thing set up and give Remy his true 240 wheel number. Oh yeah, you want to know how much these ramps are, guy? So as you can tell, obviously our dyno is used. It's about 4 years old, and well, these poor ramps seen better days. You want to know how much these ramps are?
$1,000.
Oh, I wish.
No.
Yeah, these things are $2 grand.
That's true.
Off Mustang Dyno's website. If you want aluminum ones, $3 grand. Holy shit! Should have haggled a bit more. Jesus, dark as shit in here. No one can see me. Would you turn some lights on here? I'm gonna run away. But no, that sucks about the ramps. I don't know how messed up these things are. I mean, I can tell you by looking at them, they look pretty fuckered up. But $2 grand fuckered up? I guess we'll just have to find out when we set the dyno up and I cry. I don't know. But we will be getting some new ramps for this thing. And I want to do kind of a makeover on it. Make sure this thing looks good. I'm sure we'll have some time to do that in the winter and the slower months, if it ever gets slower, because it seems like it just keeps getting busier and busier, which is awesome. Thank you guys for all that. He is now opening up, or trying to... What's this? We'll cut that out. Look how salvage tile at your old shop. Holy shit. So, as you guys can probably tell by the title of this video here, we're over here trying to build some fuel lines because Remy says we don't have a single video on how to do this and he can't figure it out. Is that the truth? Is that that's your final answer?
That's the truth.
That is not the truth. So, I'm going to show you guys once again, because I'm sure there's more out there like Remy that can't click the search button.
Well, you don't have a video.
Listen here, pal. Google.
Fuel line assembly.
Well, now we do, thanks to you.
Exactly.
See? So, as you can tell, this looks like a shit show because he's been working on it. And we're here to save the day. So we came over here the last time, prior to me shaking the bag around, which I'm going to throw that away in a second. And we got his intake manifold just sitting on there. He had to get some intake manifold gaskets ordered. We got some beautiful Torque Solution fuel rails and Torque Solution fuel line kit. You guys can get that on our website down in the description. We now have that fully updated and you guys can pick that up on there. So we're going to be going over this today, and look, he knows the key to my heart right here. Gloves. And we're going to set this whole fuel system up. I'm going to walk you guys all the way through this so there's no questions for you.
I got you guys.
You ready? At least I taught you how to mount your regulator already. So yeah. We got that settled. We have an Aeromotive A1000 regulator, which he has now thrown in the trash and hidden from me.
Right here.
Ah, there she is. So on these guys, you can see obviously there's a bolt there, 10 mil bolt. So you drill that out, put a 10 mil on it, you use the factory bracket right over here, which everything's in the way, and you mount it there. Super easy. But before you put this on, we're gonna put all our fittings in this, tighten those up, and then bolt it on there. And then this is the key to the whole fuel system install. Mount this, and you build your lines to it. Just like I told you. I told you that.
I would have done it the opposite way.
Well, that's what you do. You build them to this thing. So we're gonna mount that there. I'm gonna have him do that. We're gonna put the fittings in here. Definitely put some lube on your guys' O-rings on the fittings, because if you don't, you might end up tearing one of these fittings, and this being a fuel system, obviously that's really important not to do. So we have our Torque Solution fuel line kit here, and as you see, we get this nice little badge. Bam. But the fittings that go into the fuel pressure regulator, which are going to be right here, they have that little rubber O-ring on it. So we're going to put a little bit of motor oil, lube, or anything on them, and then tighten these up. That's a big thing that he probably, I know he wouldn't have done that because
I would have tightened them.
he would have salvage titled all this shit. So I'm gonna put these gloves on, start getting to work, get these fuel lines going. I gotta grab the tools out of the truck, and then we'll be over here teaching you how to put a fuel line together. Then I can truly show you guys why we use a Torque Solution fuel line kit, because if I gave him any of the other fuel line kits out there right now, you would pretty much light the car on fire because they're terrible. And you guys know we used to use several other ones on the channel before. We used to use the IAG kit, and that thing is, well, those don't work, period. They work, but they don't. How do you put it? They're extremely difficult to work with. I don't know what they did. They changed their manufacturer, their fittings, or their fuel line, but they're absolutely terrible to work with. So that's why we use the Torque Solution fuel line kit for those of you that are interested. And I'm sure we'll get some flack for saying that, but that's the truth. I've worked with all the kits, and this thing is by far the easiest and the best kit in the market right now that you can get. So, ready to get to work?
Yeah.
So here's everything we're going to be needing. Obviously a cutoff wheel. Probably not one that doesn't have a protector because, well, you guys know I about killed myself with this thing multiple times with what we like to call our cruise control button. And then we have some jaws here. This is obviously 2 pieces, guys. These are just stuck together. Try to pull these apart for you. So we have some jaws. These are so we don't scratch up those nice new AN fittings. And these are Earls, by the way, and so is that wrench there. But if you look down, Torque Solution has a good set of these wrenches as well. They're pretty inexpensive that you can buy with your fuel line kit, so we'll be needing those. This is just a cheap set of dikes or flush cuts, whatever you want to call them. You can get these at any auto parts store. This is what we're going to need to trim the hose, and then obviously this is what we assemble our fittings with so we don't scratch them up. I went and got a nice Harbor Freight vise here. Perfect. This is what we're going to need for those jaws. Obviously we'll open this thing up. I would laugh if it didn't open up.
It didn't that.
See, at least this goes like this. Mine I got has a bulge right here, and it drives me nuts for opening up. So we'll go and open this thing up. Then, as you guys will see, our jaws are magnetic, so they'll stay on here, and then they're just like that. Makes it really easy to do what we need to do. So what we'll end up doing is we'll grab our line here, and like I said, we're going to mount the regulator, and that's what we're going to start with and build to there. One of the longest lines you're going to have is going from this side of the engine over to the regulator. That's the one I'm going to start with. Then everything else from there is pretty short, shorter than what that one's going to be. So we're going to build that line over, and then we'll build our other return line over, and then we'll build our feed line. So the way that this kit works is you have a feed that comes in, goes to the engine, tees off, feeds this rail, feeds that rail. And then the back of the rail, this is our returns on both sides. So the way a regulator works is that's actually where you have the return always go, because that's how it regulates fuel pressure. So now we have our regulator here, and you're looking at it. Every regulator is going to be set up the same way. Each side port of the regulator is an in from the engine. Bottom is always return to the fuel tank. So that's the way these things work and can be regulated. All that's in here, guys, is there's a little rubber diaphragm, and this has a spring in here, and that's how you're able to adjust the pressure inside, is because obviously you screw this down, the spring gets stronger, we up fuel pressure. So pretty straightforward. You have a fitting for fuel pressure right here, a gauge that you can put on, and then you have your vacuum reference that goes here. So pretty straightforward, pretty easy thing, but easy to mix up. So we're gonna get these fittings put in here, and then I'll start with showing him how to build the first fuel line. You guys can see how easy this kit really is to use, because obviously Remy over here hasn't touched an AN fitting in his life, so it'll be a good example to show you if he fails or if it works very good. So let me grab these, and I'm going to get those in that regulator. Yeah, pour that oil in there. All right, grab this oil, put it in your O-ring. Easy peasy. Put it in your regulator. And you have 3 of these. Obviously you're going to want to tighten that, not by hand, because I'm sure there's someone out there that would.
It's not true.
Like you. I'm teaching you guys as if I would teach Remy, because Remy would be the one that would do that by hand and be like, but I watched your video. Fucker. He tries to use it against me every time. Now you got a, probably gonna be like a 18 or 19 millimeter. I guess I can use my wrench there. We can do it the proper way. Using our AN wrench on here.
Just like you tighten the Evo clutch.
Hey pal, those things must have just unicorned their way out of the flywheel. I did tighten the damn flywheel, you dick. Those of you that don't know, Remy is the one that ended up buying that pile of Evo for me. And now that's his problem to deal with because we love Evos and they hate us. How's it treated you?
Good.
It still runs, so I mean that's better than it ever treated me.
I got another one that's gonna break on me.
Yep. Now we got this thing all tight. And wiped off. Now you can mount your regulator. Here you go. So just to show furthermore where driver's side, you're gonna have a bracket that is right here, and you'll have to forgive Remy for his very poor lighting. But this is where we're gonna mount it through, so his bolt's gonna go through. He's gonna mount that regulator right there. Make sure she's nice and tight, boys. And then we can start building our lines to it. So we're gonna grab our line kit that we have here, and then we're gonna grab a 90-degree AN fitting. And then I'm gonna take this lower portion of this off the fitting, because that's what we're going to be needing to put on the hose. And I'm not going to do this first one. I'm going to make Remy do this one after he's done tightening that regulator. Once you have this off, this is what it looks like. This portion is what goes on your hose. Then this will thread into said portion over here. So super simple. These fittings make it really easy. For some of the other ones out there do definitely make this job very hard, especially if the line's a cheaper line or it's a cheaper fitting. You'll know very quickly that it's pretty hard. So come over here, Remy, and we got this line. So you're gonna take this piece right here and you're gonna put it on there. Now just make sure not to obviously let it bind up, because this being it will, but see how easy this is. You can put that on by hand. So once you get it started on there, you're gonna turn it in.
I want it's like binding.
Might have to end up showing the rookie here.
See, it's pushing.
No, you're already styling it.
Exactly.
All right, and you dropped it.
The cap.
All right, grab this. I will show you. So you take this, and you got this end here, right? And you can push on it. Be careful, because obviously it's metal, so it will try to kill you. Then what you're going to end up doing is you're pushing it down on one side, and you're twisting this as you go. And that's how we get it started. So now it's started on there, and you can tell we're crooked, but that's where the vise will come into play. I'm gonna get all this oil out of here. But we should be able to just do this by hand. Obviously I've done this many times, so little girly hands over there probably aren't gonna be able to do it. But there's no way in hell I'm gonna end up showing you guys this probably in this lighting. But if you were to see inside of that line, which I doubt we're gonna ever show. Are you getting light? Oh Jesus, he just blinded the shit out of me. Okay. It's still probably not gonna show, but you will be able to see the hose in here, and you want the hose to go, don't hold that. You want the hose to pretty much butt up to the threads. So once you see it there, then you know you're completely in. Now you could put this in the vise and have it instead of pushing like this by your hand. I find it easier to do it this way. There's going to be some fittings out there that make it pretty much damn near impossible to do that with. So once we have it on, boom, we're good to go. We'll open up our vise. I like to put these things at the end of the vise, as you have a vise like this that's larger than what these are. And then obviously this is pretty knowing what you're supposed to do. You put it in here and it clamps your fitting. Put it in there decently tight like so. Then we're going to take our other side. We take some oil. We coat the side going in to the hose. For the boys, you know why we have to lube the shaft. So you put it in here for easier install. Then you're gonna get this thing started. It is very important not to cross thread this, guys. So when you're pushing this in here, you're feeling it out to make sure you're not gonna cross thread it. You can see that it's gonna obviously have to be pushed in a little bit to get it started. But once you get it started, look how easy that goes in. That's what you want to see. Now see how this spins? That means that obviously you're gonna have to start putting it in by hand like that. And then eventually you're not gonna be able to put this in by hand, because when you're putting this in, you're screwing it in, it's actually expanding this metal inside this hose and this hose into the fitting, and that's what keeps this together. So now I'm gonna wipe my hands off here and we'll grab the tool right here. These are nice because they're adjustable, so you can put it on. And then we'll set it to it. Since Remy doesn't have this vise mounted, it makes it nice because I can put it on the edge like this. And then we just screw her in. Probably should have turned the vise because now I'm hitting that ear. But it doesn't matter, you can keep doing this in intervals anyways. But you keep screwing this thing in until you're flat. Like I said, you really don't want to strip these things out. But it should be a pretty straightforward So now we have a perfectly installed AN line here that I walked you guys through. So now you guys are certified professional installers. You got that, Remy? You think you'll be able to do the next one?
I think so. Maybe.
So, all installed. I'm really picky. I like them to line up. Doesn't matter. No, just as long as it's tight. So, don't mind a noob camera holder today. We have our line. And now we're going to come over to the car. And like I said, it doesn't matter which one of these sides on the regulator goes to what side of the engine, just as long as the back of the fuel rail goes to the side of the regulator, not the bottom. So we're going to put this through, and obviously we're going to have to run this through and try to get an idea of where we want to put it. Now, one thing you have to take into account is having the regulator over here. Obviously, we're a lot closer to this fuel rail. When we're a lot closer to that fuel rail, we have to take that into note which side we want to run to this side. So we're going to decide on that, and I'm going to get this line ran underneath the intake manifold, and then I'll show you guys what we end up coming up with. So now I got the line in there. That's going to be really hard to show you guys and do, but you just need to run it the best you can. I like to run them really tucked under here, and obviously there's no light in your garage to be able to see anything. But one tip for you guys here, you'll notice coming over at the regulator here, I have a zip tie on there, and I use zip ties to be able to mark the hose where I need to cut it. I put the fitting on the regulator already. I'll turn it to where you can see it there. And then I put the zip tie where I need to cut it. It makes it really easy way to mark these things, and very cheap obviously, because zip ties are a dime a dozen. So now that I have the zip tie on there, I got to pull this line all the way back out. Now we're going to have to cut it, put our fitting on, and then clean it, and then reinstall it, and we got one line done. So, you ready to spend 12 hours doing this?
Let's do it.
12 hours his time, 30 minutes our time. Let's knock this out, and then I'll walk you guys through all of it. So on these straight ones, I like to put the other side of the fitting in there because there's not much to grab on it. So then we'll be taking this side of it and we'll be putting it on kind of in reverse order of what we were doing. Now the vise is not mounted, so I'm gonna have him hold the camera here, and then I will end up pushing this on here, which this would be a lot easier obviously if it was mounted. But just getting it lined up and get it started, then obviously it'll go right on like that. And it's super easy. And then on this one, you have a lot more meat to grab with your wrench, which makes it easier to put it together without making your nice brand new fittings look like ass. So obviously you guys get the point of this and how this goes together. Now we're going to jump over to our other line that we already built here. Nice, beautiful return line. So you need to clean these out. That's the most important thing of this whole project. Is you probably bought brand new fuel injectors, and with buying new injectors, you don't want to ruin them. So if you don't clean out your aftermarket fuel lines, especially if you're cutting them off with a cutoff wheel like we are, then you're gonna get pieces of rubber all in your fuel system, and you would cause a lot of issues, and Mr. Remy here would not have a running car. So what we need to do is take this line, and I have some brake cleaner. We're gonna spray brake cleaner inside this line, and we're gonna go out here to a hose. I'm gonna show you guys. I know I showed this at the beginning of our channel, and I haven't showed it in quite a while. So, do I just turn it on there?
You just flip the nozzle.
Yeah, so what we're doing, obviously, you know, you're getting pretty self-explanatory. You fill this with brake cleaner. Get it nice and good in there. And then we're gonna take our nozzle, which, let's see how far we shoot this thing.
Pull it down.
Down? Oh shit. He gives me the fucking special ed one. Alright. This is gonna be fun here, Remy. You fucked up. How the hell am I supposed to show or demonstration of this thing? Alright, there we go. Now we're full tilt with a couple of oh, we got a squirter on our hands. Okay, and you're gonna put your line on there and see how we're getting ourselves here apparently. But I like to run quite a bit through here just to make sure. Obviously it's pretty important to do this step. And then I'll take and do it the other way. To be honest with you guys, a better way to do this is in a kitchen faucet if your wife doesn't kill you for a brake cleaner smell, because obviously that route is a lot harder than it should have been. But now this line is completely clean. Don't worry about the water. I mean, you can get it out like that, but I would rather have water in this than I would little pieces of rubber that are going to clog your injector. This little bit of water, oh, nice, isn't going to matter. So we'll get this thing, will dry out anyways. By the time this thing starts in about 8 months, this thing will be dry, right?
Probably.
Alright, now we're going to go back to work. I'm going to finish putting that line on, and once we're all finished up, I will show you guys all these lines laid out so you get an idea of how I make them. You know, this is kind of a creator deal here. You can make them however you want. It's your car. You know, if you have a different setup, you can run them around. For the most part, I found that this setup I'm going to show you will work on about 99% of the cars. If you have aftermarket fuel lines, that's the only time that you would have a difference, is when you're running your own line up. That's when we would be changing it. Other than that, with the factory fuel lines, about 99% of you guys are going to be running them this way. So as I'm wrapping up the fuel lines here, here's something I wanted to show you guys before, is the fuel pump install. And of course, Remy had some issues with his first time fuel pump install. So he's now pulling this thing back apart. Luckily, he has not even started the car with the way it was. So I'm going to show you guys the proper way of how to install your AM 340 or anything comparable for a fuel pump into the factory hanger. So he's getting that pulled apart now. As soon as he gets this thing apart in about the next 2 hours, then we'll be able to show you guys how that system works. So stay tuned for a moment. Damn, I'm pretty impressed. You got that apart pretty quick. Only an hour.
Not true. Not true.
About 10 seconds later, we got this thing out. And I already showed you guys pretty much the step-through process of how to take this thing apart. So I'm gonna let him have fun taking this thing apart, and I'll show you the fun part once he's all done there. Oh, part timer got it. All right, let's see how this thing was assembled, bud. Where's your O-rings?
Grabbing,
Where's the O-ring that was on it? Or do you not have any on it?
Wait.
There's one in there. So grab that there. I wonder why it came apart easier this time. Now, if your kit, is that the one that came with the AM?
Yeah.
No, don't put it on there yet.
I'll just make sure I don't lose it.
No, and stock fuel pumps up top.
Wait, why did you fucking...
Now, where's your AM box?
Where... Did you move it?
Might have threw it away. Go grab it out of the garbage.
Fucker.
I was trying to clean up in this shit show in here. Driving me nuts. Now, grab the O-ring out of it. What is that? Is that 2 new O-rings? Oh, weird. Yeah, that was the one that was with it. No. Pow. Now, you take your spacer here off your stock fuel pump. Grab your 2 new O-rings.
Oh, man.
God. Then you put your spacer on top of your new fuel pump. Doing this one-handed for the boys. Like so. And it will look like that. Then you grab your 2 new O-rings. Oh my goodness. Now put your 2 new O-rings on there and put a light coat of oil on them. Stealing my oil.
Huh?
God, I got the heat lamp on us over here.
Yeah, it's hot. Light coat.
Yeah. Well, put another one on there, push it down.
Stick.
Okay, so this is how a proper fuel pump setup should look like. 2 O-rings and the spacer so it can't blow out your O-rings. Then you put it into your hanger here. Obviously this is pretty straightforward here. I mean, you put it in like normal. And you didn't put that much oil on the top one. Bam, there you go. That's a correctly installed fuel pump.
You're welcome.
Your motor will thank me later. Now we got all our fuel lines made, but I got Struggle City over here. What's going on, bud? You can't get this thing back together or what?
Back together.
All right. I'll let him keep going then. So I told you guys I'd have these things laid out when we're all finished. So this is gonna be our front fuel line. This goes on the front of the rails. Center goes over to the feed on the car, okay? And then imagine a regulator being over in this area. So this is coming from the back of your passenger rail, because we're on the passenger side of the car. So that's passenger rail, goes over, connects to the side of your regulator. Driver rail comes out, connects to the side of the regulator. That bottom of the regulator to the return on the car. So to give you an example again, which I'm sure you guys are already bored, but this is the side of the regulator that I'm talking about that those lines connect to. This is the lines all made, laid out. Hopefully that explains it for you guys as in depth as I can. I'm gonna get all these lines cleaned out, get them installed on the car, and maybe help first timer on this fuel pump. What's going on? Why is it so hard?
I'm being stupid. Can't remember how.
Well, we already knew that. You're the one that installed the fuel pump incorrect.
I installed it correctly. I just missed a part.
A couple parts. Now, we'll get this thing together. We'll get the lines cleaned, and then that is gonna wrap it up for the day job today. Then he's got to figure out the rest of the car. Good luck.
Easy.
So since Remy is gonna be waiting for his intake manifold gaskets that he next dayed and haven't come, unfortunately, that is gonna wrap this up. So now we have all our fuel lines built. They're all laid out for him so he can do what he needs to do. Obviously, you can see the intake manifold here to get a better example of these back lines, and then obviously the front one goes across, center feed goes underneath. Very self-explanatory. He got his fuel pump all back together. That thing's ready to rock. So when are we doing first startup on this girl?
Tomorrow, I hope. When those gaskets come.
You got a busy night ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll stay up all night.
That is gonna wrap this up, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed figuring out how to build some fuel lines. I know this guy needed some extra help finding that, so he said it'd be good to show you guys. So we showed you guys how to do that and how to install it. So that is gonna wrap up today, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video.
Living life up in the fast lane. Hey. Living life up in the fast lane. And I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down. Living life up in the fast lane. Pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground. Living life up in the fast lane. Life, though you lemons, you just put them in Coronas. Coronas, Coronas. I've been working, I need that advance with the bonus. The bonus, the bonus. Ain't no thoughts about tomorrow, I'm just living in the moment. The moment, the moment. Full tank of gas and 200 on the dash. Bitch, I'm zoning, I'm zoning, I'm zoning. Fast lane. Living life up in the fast lane. Hey. Living life up in the fast lane.